Wow. Well, sitting with a very talented group of people here.
Yeah.
This is exciting.
Not in the slightest.
Yeah. In true same, different paths fashion, let's do a little cheers. Thanks for coming, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Cheers,
guys.
everybody.
Salute.
Perfect.
Cheers.
All right.
Oh, that's good. All right. So this is a little bit different than what we normally do. Today, the goal is that we want to bring together all this talent that we have between this group, and we want to help our community understand some of the behind the scenes on what goes into an independent festival like ours. So what we're hoping for is that everyone kind of walks away after this thing and they're like, wow, I didn't realize all that happens and there's so much going on. If you could introduce yourselves individually, give a quick background of your festival, and kind of share a brief story of what inspired you guys to start it. Andrew, do you want to start?
Sure. Thank you for having us. I appreciate you guys putting this together. I'm very excited to be here with the Desert Hearts, Joshua Tree, and Same but Different. I'm representing Northern Nights Music Festival. We're a 3-day outdoor camping festival on the border of Humboldt, Mendocino, about 3.5 hours north of San Francisco. We're typically the third weekend of July, and we started in 2013. So I was just kind of reflecting on that today. It's been 12, 13 years. Obviously, there was a COVID break in between, but one of the things that really makes us unique is that we're on the Eel River, we're in the Redwoods, and we have a really eclectic taste in music. We always think sometimes we have the best festival lineup that you've never heard of, and really we curate this community through the music and through the experience that we have on camping festival. And yeah,
love it, man.
Okay,
love it. Mikey, you want to go next?
Yeah. My name is Mikey Lyon, and I represent Desert Hearts Festival, Desert Hearts Records. And we started Desert Hearts in 2012. I was like a 23-year-old kid, no idea what I'm doing. And me and my partners just went out there, wanted to go throw a little renegade party in the middle of the Mojave Desert. And that one party turned into like my entire life's work of just curating music festivals and parties with the express intention of spreading as much love and positive energy as possible. Where a one stage, one vibe music plays from, it's a 72 hours nonstop music festival on this one stage, and it's all house and techno. So it's like Friday, music's on like Monster Function 1 sound system, and then it doesn't end until Monday at noon. And it is just like a crazy marathon experience of like wild and wacky and just really, really vibed out people.
Love it.
Yeah.
Barnett?
I think I need a personal trainer before I go to Desert Hearts again. My name is Barnett English, and I founded the Joshua Tree Music Festival. We had the first one back in April of 2003. Like Mikey, I was a 39-year-old kid who didn't know anything. I've been going to music festivals since 95. I sell coffee at music festivals, so I've been to 1,200 of them. I lost count. Might be more than that. Like every single Coachella and 25 High Sierra music festivals. And the first time I went to one to sell coffee, I was like, okay, that's it. That's what I'm going to do the rest of my life. So here I am, 30 some odd years later, still doing it. And just went to Joshua Tree on a whim, woke up at this campground and looked around and was stunned by the beauty of the place, and mentioned to the campground owners, I'm like, you should have a real music festival here. And finally, after bugging them for a couple of days, they're like, well, if you're so smart, why don't you do it yourself? So dare taken and moved there, and here we are. We've had 41 music festivals there now. Twice a year we have it, every May, every October. It's a family-friendly festival. It's community-centric. It's small, boutique-ish. So it's definitely got a really super tight community family feel to it. So that's us.
Love it. Brad?
I'm Brad. I'm usually your co-host on the Different Paths podcast. I'm here with Same but Different.
Welcome to the podcast.
This one, by the way, was a lot easier to prepare for than the other ones where there's no research required. Just show up for this. Same but Different. I co-founded it in 2017 was when we came up with the idea. I am a musician myself, and honestly, I was like, let's start a like a backyard style party that could be a festival that I can book myself for. And that was sort of the idea, the original scope of the project. We got booked to play a festival that doesn't exist anymore that was at Lake Paris called One Love Fest. And I played that. And as soon as I saw the site, I was like just in love. I mean, it's beautiful. There's beaches, water, mountains. Like it's just so scenic. And it kind of checked all the boxes as we were thinking, like, we really want to throw a festival. We called the property and they said, we're open and we'd love to do something. And then we were kind of off to the races from there. If you've been watching the podcast, you probably noticed what we have on the table is SoCal Vibes Co. We've been drinking it. It's a tasty drink. I love it myself. Their peach mead cider is perfect. So if you are a Different Paths listener, they're going to hook you up. Just use the code DifferentPaths15 at checkout at SoCalVibesCo.com, and you're going to get 15% off that first order. Trust me, take advantage of this. They're a great time.
I'll jump back into how did Northern Nights start? So Andrew Borgelt, co-founder of Northern Nights, we were producing events in San Francisco, and we, for us, when we started producing events in San Francisco in 2010, it was all about the experience. So whether we were on a yacht or we were in the park or whether in a warehouse, we wanted to continue to create this space that was our own and that was unique and that was something different. And so as we continue to produce events, we used to go to an event right on the river back in the day at the original grounds. That wasn't happening anymore. And we were continuing to kind of come up with these blockers for us to be able to produce events in San Francisco, because we had some cool first events in San Francisco, but we didn't own the venue. We were getting kicked out of clubs because we weren't playing bottle service music, and we were playing dubstep, or we were playing house, or we were playing techno, and they're like, hey, play this. And we're like, no, we're going to leave. And so Reggae on the River wasn't happening anymore. And we were like, hey, we should bring back this is a venue. This is an experience that we want to share with everybody else. And we think electronic music is going to be the kind of the next thing to be able to do so. So Blot Productions, Peter and I, we partnered with Maddie World Famous and Emily up in Humboldt, and we found the original grounds of Reggae on the River, drove up north, started knocking on doors, and everyone's like, you're knocking on doors in Humboldt? And we're like, yeah. And it was January, so it was okay to do that. This was back in 2012. And convinced the property owner to say, hey, we're on private property, and convinced them to say, hey, we can do it the right way. We really want to figure out how we can do this. Let's get the permits. Let's build this, and kind of bring back what the events that have been on the site before really was.
Love it. Well, obviously there's from inception to actually, like, I'd say fruition, right? How did, and Barnett, I want to hear your perspective on this, because you said you dare accept it. Yeah. So how did your expectations of throwing the festival compare to the reality of throwing the festival?
I think there's some like Harvard educated business professors that wrote a book that said it's better if you don't know too much. Whoever wrote that is a genius. I never would have started it if I knew what was involved. I literally just figured, what? I could think about it and study it for years, or I could just do it and learn more in 6 months than I would learn in years of pontificating on my laptop and thinking about it. So I just decided, let's just do it. I'd been going to festivals for 10 years, so I just called everybody I knew and friends that had sound equipment and stages, and was like, how hard could it be? Get a portalet and a stage and book a band. So the first one was, highly disorganized, incredibly wild and memorable, and I was hooked. And ever since then, we take notes each time, and we've grown and learned so much. But yeah, definitely started out just thought you got to do it.
All right, we want to take a quick second to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, Long Drink. That perfect, refreshing drink? That is what Long Drink is. I've been drinking it on the show. I accidentally drank the 8.5% ABV, but it wasn't that big of an accident because I loved it. I would suggest picking yourself up a pack, bringing it home. It's great served ice cold straight from the can. Get yourself some Long Drink, and thanks to them for being a sponsor.
Honestly, not knowing is so helpful in the beginning, because when for us, we're like, okay, the very first one, there was only probably about 200 people. Wasn't like Desert Hearts Festival. It was just like Desert Hearts. We didn't have like any ticket takers or like anything. It was like, my friend just told me this week, he's like, yeah, I actually like remember that like the tickets were just bought on PayPal and then you just like showed your PayPal receipt when you got there. And I was like, what? That's fucking insane. But I do know that like when a car would drive up out into the, like, we're in like the middle of nowhere, car would drive up and be like, all right, like it's your turn to go like check and like see if they got tickets or like get $40 from them. And then it's like, yeah, had like barely any porta potties. And then that's when the next time that we did Desert Hearts, there was like 400 people that showed up. Next one had like 800. We're like, wait, we need like infrastructure. Like, all right, I guess. And yeah, but not knowing, like, had I known how much work was involved in the very beginning, like, fuck that. But now I'm like, all right.
Yeah, you got to do it, then you're hooked. When I think about like the first budget that I wrote out and how off it is from, well, especially what we are now, even from like what it ended up being. And when I was like, yeah, it's like going to be a couple people, we're going to be camping out. And then like it's just like, well, who's going to, like, what's your security? And oh yeah, we got to do that. And then you got to like keep going. And I'm like, at some point, maybe it'll be easy. Cause like if you got into business starting, I think no business is easy by any means. There's none that are. Like, being a business owner is always a difficult journey for anybody that does it. In some businesses though, you have maybe thousands or tens of thousands of other businesses that have paved the way that you can look at. Like if you're opening an Airbnb rental business or a coffee shop or things like that, you can look at and read books. Not a whole lot of books, I wouldn't think, about being a festival owner, because there's not tons of us that are doing it. So I think we're all just making up shit the best we can as we go, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And we were the same way too. The first year we were like, okay, we're going to do this music festival. We're going to call it a music festival, which we just should have called it a camp out, because we had like 200 of our friends show up and it was cool. We were camping in the redwoods. We were on a river, and it just, we didn't actually even have a river stage because the county wouldn't allow us to do it. And then the second year, kind of built that momentum. We got the pictures. There was actually people that were on site. So it wasn't us just selling a blank canvas. It was us now with campers, with the main stage. There wasn't many people there, but there was a main stage. It was pretty cool. We had Dirty Bird. We had a real main stage. And then the second year came in and we had like 1,200 people. And our production manager, Michael Rebello, who's old school, he's definitely the guidance on this, used to be with the Grateful Dead, and was just like, look, you guys are selling enough tickets here, then you got to make sure the porta potties are going to be on par. Because if you have shitty shitters, we're fucked. You're not coming back.
It's like one of the most important things. You
So
gotta have good, clean toilets.
All day Saturday, I was on the phone calling the local porta potty provider to try to get 40 more porta potties down here so we could sell more tickets. And that was my Saturday, second year at Northern Nights, trying to figure it out. Never thought what I thought I was doing that at an event.
How did you mentioned year 2, finally you had pictures. You're like, I can sell that. This is a thing that has happened. I remember that feeling. Did you guys do things in year 1? Like, I remember to sell year 1, I went on YouTube and just found random like videos of like fishermen at Lake Paris and like families on the beach. And I like just put like cut up a song to it. And I was like, yeah, this is our music festival video. And then like crowds from other festivals. I was like, here we go. This is us.
The first one we had kind of our own momentum at the time, because me and Marbs were throwing a party called Jungle. Marbs is one of the co-founders of Desert Hearts. And then Lee Reynolds, he's like the token old guy in our crew. And he had his own party, who was like, he kind of had the older generation of ravers. And so, and then we had this partner, Christoph, who was like he was like the hippie of the crew, and he was like the big moon triber. And so our first Desert Hearts was kind of like a collision of those 3 crews. And that's like, I don't know, we just all were like hyping it up to our own fans and our own little crews. And then like the synergy when you have like crews colliding is fucking sick.
Love it. I think, let's just jump into it, right? So life is expensive right now. There's just no way around it. How have you all navigated the financial landscape without the backing of a major corporation or company behind you? Mikey, let's start with you. No big deal.
Yeah. since the pandemic, it's been extremely difficult. I feel like that time period from like 2015 to 2019 was kind of like the gold rush of this festival culture in California, especially like West Coast, but it was everywhere. But like West Coast had this like crazy rush to festivals, and it seemed like everyone was starting them up. Everyone was thriving. Everyone was doing really well. And then the pandemic happened. And now, like with this economic situation that we're in currently, I think just like the patterns of the next generation of festival goers has completely changed. Usually you would have like the older festival people, the ravers, kind of like teaching the next generation how to party, how to camp out, how to do all this stuff. This next generation, they were like inside for 2 years. And they are now not as prone to going out and going to festivals. So for us, we're trying to figure out how to convince them to come when there are also so many factors that are going on with like them wanting to go to just like the easy festivals, the ones that are like popping up all the time in the city, and they're just these one-off day parties. Or navigating it has been really challenging. We're doing the best that we can right now.
Yeah, I'd like to speak to what Mikey was just saying, leaping forward a little bit, but what you just mentioned was, I've been going to festivals for so long. I love it so much, and I get so much out of the community. Like if we camp out together for 4 days and nights and we share a couple meals at least, and we dance a bunch together and we go through it and we laugh and cry 1,000 times, that human interaction and connection is what a lot of maybe this post-COVID younger generation actually really needs more than ever.
Right.
Sure.
It's great if we go out to dinner. It's great if we go to a one-night concert, but it's still not the same as if we were camped out together and I see you at 5 a.m. and I see you at midnight, and, we get to know each other. You just get so much out of it. So maybe, the big quantum leap that we need to make is how do we convince the younger folks that, you know what, you really do have to take work off on Friday. You need to come out. You need to spend a couple more bucks. You're going to get more out of this than just I saw so-and-so play. It's not about just seeing so-and-so play.
Well,
it's Mikey.
That's that's kind of the debate on the single day tickets, right?
Well, and I think to echo on that as well, kind of, you started as a coffee vendor, right?
Yeah.
And when we started Northern Nights, we were piggybacking off of a security team that worked at High Sierra. There were High Sierra, it was Rigney and Todd and Kathy, right? And they came down to Northern Nights, and there was a community of the people that come to the event, but there was a community of the team, of the staff, of the vendors that traveled. That was, a lot of people saw the opportunity with other events in the area to start a company around music festivals, and then they would go on tour and they would sell coffee, or they would be the merch provider, or they would have t-shirts, or they, the vendors that we would go to with festivals in Northern California, you'd have Spiros Euros, right? That would be at every event. And going to High Sierra, you had so much of the community that was also able to create new opportunities and new jobs and entrepreneurial spirit because of that festival, and then go on tour and continue to kind of spread that love, spread the word, right? And then when COVID hit, all those vendors and all those providers, whether it's a porta potty, whether it's equipment, whether generator provider, right? That if you have 2, 3, 4 events up there that can start a business, and then you can kind of spin off of that for other sectors in the community. When the event isn't there, that worked, right? But then when COVID hit, everybody shut down. And then now there's not that same opportunity to kind of start it back up because there's not as many events. We got shut down as well. So now this kind of, and production costs for us, they went up 40% pre-COVID, after COVID. And it's because a lot of the local mom and pops aren't there anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole cottage industry.
Yeah.
Thankfully, Spiro is still going.
Spiros is still there, and he's got to,
Go ahead, Brad.
I don't know. There's so many points. I don't know which one I want to talk about. Like when I was a kid, the first festival that I went to, I was 15. I rode with my friend that was 16 that drove us to summer camp in its second year in Chillicothe, Illinois.
Cool.
And it was really small. And I don't necessarily remember the acts that were playing there, besides maybe Mo, who I went to see. but it was like the drum circle, like late night that I ended up in, and like running around with some kid like off in the farm, and like the interactions that you talked about. And yeah, I mean, if you're taking an Uber and just going into the fence lines and walking through, and you're going to a stage and seeing that, and that's your festival experience, you Uber home, and the next morning you can Postmates your breakfast and you're alone. It's hard. I mean, it's a lot harder to come to any one of our 4 festivals for sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a commitment. Yeah, for real.
Well said.
But it's worth it, you know. But it's hard to. It is a form of still being alone and being separated. That experience that I just said of taking your Uber down. I mean, you're going out with friends still, but it is not that same community vibe that you had just described. So that's why I think it's so important. But I think there's like 2 factors, and it's not like, you know, this isn't a hard and fast rule, but I think people usually want to see like somebody on the lineup that they maybe know, you know, before they're going to go. If they haven't been before, obviously, you know, if they love your fest, they want to keep coming. But like, you know, for like new people to come, and when we talk about younger people, I feel like they want to see somebody that, you know, they probably recognize on the lineup, at least one name, and then want to know somebody that's like a trusted source that's been there, that they can be like, this is cool. You're not going to waste 4 days or go like sit in the mud, or especially with all the stories coming out about like, there's a lot of bad festival stories that make headlines. And so I think to, you know, take it to that level of like, there's a whole crew of people that were all in and didn't go to festivals, and they don't know anybody that all has been to these campouts. You know, they're all just kind of like, you know, going, and maybe it'll take a while to integrate, and they'll start slowly tapping into it. But because I don't think festivals are like any less fun, you know?
Yeah.
I've always said that the more you put in, the more you get out. And it couldn't be more true with festivals. Like the ones that are the hard festivals to like get to prepare for, it's like that whole time that you're preparing for them, you're like putting in energy into this thing that you're basically cultivating all of this like amazing positive vibes that you're going to be getting out of when you get there. That's why Burning Man, it's a week long, and like it's the end all fucking craziest one of them all, you know? But yeah, it's definitely an insane landscape right now, and trying to convince this next generation to do it is like so paramount for us. I am, if anyone's got the answer to it, like,
yeah, one idea that just spawned too, like pre-COVID, we were really entrenched with the street team, right? We did way more. I mean, I know you do a lot with Desert Hearts. You obviously do way more events than we do as just a standalone event. But, you know, one of the things that we did before COVID is that we had street team meetings, we had pre-parties, we had way more interaction with the streets and the community. And then after COVID, it's like, oh, no one wants to go out. No one understands the value of handing out a flyer or putting up a poster or being a part of that. So I almost think like for us, what we're trying to do too, 3 years after COVID, right? We've had 3 events since COVID. And it's like, how do we get back to that community driven event, especially on the West Coast with a camping festival, which is, you know, it's a pilgrimage, it's a mission, and they want to know, hey, when they show up, we're going to be here, right? And they're going to be like, oh yeah, we know that dude. He was out there handing out handbills, you know? I always said my goal with Northern Nights was eventually like, it's so successful that all I have to do is hand out handbills, right? And I get to talk to everybody, and I get to see what's going on, and like really see and hear the new music that's happening.
Well, I think a common misconception, I think if you go on your socials, you know, there's always someone who's like, the big wigs just sitting there, you know, counting all their cash, you know, like whatever that was, like the ducks swimming in the gold, like, and that could not be farther. Scrooge McDuck could not be farther from true, right?
That's my RV on site.
I wish I had as much money as people think I have.
I think it'd be helpful for audience to understand, like, what are some of the unexpected or hidden costs that they don't realize that could like break an event? Like, what's something you could encounter for that?
For us, when we were doing it at Lake Paris, so Desert Hearts, we lost our venue during COVID. We were doing it at an Indian reservation for 6 years. You know, there's this whole thing. We lost our venue. And so we were like scrambling, trying to find a venue for a few years. And we try to bring Desert Hearts to Lake Paris, which was like, we went from having absolutely zero red tape to like maximum red tape on a state park. And when we went to do our second iteration of Desert Hearts at Lake Paris, our budget went from like, at the Indian reservation, it went from like around $1 million to like $2.5 million. And we're like, okay, I guess we need to sell more tickets. But then we got like smacked down from just lay of the law of like powerful law enforcement. And it was crazy. And it fucked up the entire festival. We had to cancel that festival.
Yeah. I think, the wages for the crew alone are, I think, a lot bigger number than what people think. I mean, you invite all these people out and you want them to have a great experience, a safe experience, a smooth experience. They don't want to wait for 8 hours in line to get in through will call. So you staff will call really well. And then the parking crew is staffed really well. And then the camping crew is staffed really well, and on and on and on and on, because you want to have people have paid to have a great experience, and that's part of it. So I think that people probably don't realize that, there's a few hundred people here that are getting paid. I'm not one of them. But everybody else is getting paid. But so that might be a budget line item that people don't realize is as high as it is.
One of the other like hidden costs also is, so first year, right? You have your crew. You've got the people that are really loyal to you. You want to take care of them. So like, okay, they start off really cheap. And then the next year you're like, all right, well, that guy was fucking amazing. Like, let's give him like a little bit more. And then the next year it's like everyone is asking for or expecting like a little bit more for the next year. And then all of a sudden your budget is completely bloated. You can't really like just ask your family, like someone that's been with you and they've been running this crew for a while, and then you can't just like cast them aside. And that part adds up really fast.
I mean, one of the number one things I try to do is we have like mentorship and try to like get people educated. And I love that what you just said, the crew and building them up and the loyalty. But then also as they've become, if they're doing their job well with us, they are also now getting hired on at all these like different places. And they're like, well, listen, like I got like Live Nation's paying me like triple what you're paying. So
For sure.
so you got to kick yourself then.
Yeah.
I think for us, we had a year in 2022, Hurricane K, I think it was, made landfall during our festival in Southern California. It was like the first time,
like the first California hurricane
hit in it was like 52 years or something, and it just wreaked havoc. It destroyed huge art pieces. Like the ones we had built, we built this giant arch that had projection mapping on it. When you walked under it, it was interactive, just broke the projector, like destroyed that. Those things aren't cheap, but that's just a small fraction of like taking down the LED screens in all of our tents and putting them back up, like that labor call of getting people back out, getting them double time, overtime. You have crew that are union workers, and it added up like crazy. And then I think the unexpected, we didn't cancel, we ran the festival. In the midst of all that, most ticket sales are coming in last minute. I that's how I act. Like if I told any of you guys I'm coming to your festival, I wouldn't probably pull the trigger until like the day before, just like how I am. But I think that
when all our other friends are buying their tickets.
The most stressful thing of all time.
And I love people, like when people buy early, that allows us to know like, oh, okay, we're going to be able to hold the festival. We can like, this is not so much, not to that degree, but just like, okay, we can like, let's go bigger on this. Or let's, like when we've had years where we've had different ticket trends, and we've had some years where a lot of tickets sell early, and it's like, okay, great. Like, let's expand this stage. Let's go huge on this. And you can kind of make those adjustments. When it comes down to that last minute, you don't really know, because something like that 2022 hurricane happened. No, it was 100% chance of thunderstorms all weekend. No, like I think we sold 20 tickets, and I don't know who those 20 people are, but those are some like very gnarly folks. That were like, yeah, like let's hit it. Let's get in the rain. I'm like, here's $300 and let's do it. Yeah, that's completely unexpected.
I vividly remember Hurricane K hitting, and we were all super stressed out. And there was this big table of everybody there, like all the park officials, everything. We sat down, and the first person to say something was you. And you said, well, it's the first hurricane to hit California in 50 something years. And Brad goes, all right, so what do you guys normally do during a hurricane? And it was like, okay, everyone started laughing. And we're like, all right, took the edge off of it.
Yeah.
But
Stop. I was sleeping in my golden trailer.
There you go, swimming in it. Yeah, and I would say, as a first-time festival producer, do it, right? Do the event, but live within your means, right? You can't spare any expense on safety, regulatory, compliance. Make sure the event is safe, right? And it starts with the producers, and it goes down to the co-creators of we call co-creators volunteers. And I think, live within your means, right? Are you ready for that festival? What is the selling points? And can you get away with having a safe space, right? With medical, with fire, with security? What are kind of the selling points of what you're going to, right? Are you guys selling alcohol and then you need an ABC license? Are you guys doing cannabis sales? Like what is kind of the identity and the authenticity of that event? And I think everybody here has kind of their understanding of what that is. And then I think working with the county, or is it private property? Is it state property? Like what is going to be unique about that festival to really kind of pull it off? Whereas kind of some of the bigger festivals that we're talking about, you can take an Uber to and then take an Uber home and then get a Grubhub on the way back. I'm like, wow, we have no connectivity at Northern Nights. And
Yeah,
I always
you're
thought
out
that
there.
was great.
It's amazing.
But then it was like we lost that FOMO, so we didn't sell enough tickets. So it's a careful balance of where it is and how it goes. So I think do it the right way for sure, and make sure spare no expense on that. But what's kind of the unique identity of every event too is super important.
so I think everyone's kind of mentioned a little bit about it, but like Mike, you were talking about your lost venue. I think something that would be helpful for the listeners to understand is like, what is the biggest pros and cons? Let me just start with this way. Everyone's venue situation is extremely different. So before we answer, let's give a little bit of a background of what it looks like for your venues. But what are the biggest pros and cons you've experienced when it comes to your venue situation? And as kind of a side question, do you think venue ownership is a realistic path for independent festivals to survive long term? I think you have the most unique situation in the venue.
So we private property, start from there. So we have two property owners in 2 counties with 2 permits that we get. Yeah. So it is a very difficult place to be able to produce an event. We embrace that challenge because it allows us to create 2 plans of operations that will coexist with both counties. And it'd be so much easier if I could just walk into a turnkey venue that was just like, here's the power, here's the water, here's the infrastructure, and it's just a flat rental fee. But that would make our event, vanilla. I don't think we could do it. People have asked us before, hey, would you take Northern Nights on the road? Would you go to a new venue? And it would have to be so difficult to work with that we would get so excited that we would nerd out on what the permits, the plan of operations, the logistics, and it comes down to the community. I mean, we work with the volunteer fire departments. I mean, the reason why this event works is that we work with the locals, and it takes so much time and energy, and we love it because they're part of the event and they take ownership and pride in the event. And so, long-winded way of saying it's a difficult place to work, wouldn't do it anywhere else, and comes with its own challenges. I rambled on that one.
It's really hard to move a redwood tree. I've never tried to do that.
It takes a long time to grow it too.
Yeah. So just the logistics of that can't reproduce those.
Well, your situation's a little bit different, kind of on
Yes,
the opposite
different.
end, right?
Yes, different. Well, we've had 41 festivals at the same location. We're on a privately owned campground. So basically, there's a 40-acre campground, and there's 5 acres of this campground where the campground owners just said, well, hey, why don't you just, after the first year where we built all these things and took them down, they're like, that's crazy. Why don't you just start building down there? They had 5 acres with nothing on it. So now there's a whole village, 4 stages and kitchens and bars and venues and little seating areas and vendor booths. And so we built our own little world. So in a lot of ways, it's now, I mean, you walk in and it's a one of a kind place. It's all built out of upcycled junk and art, and we couldn't duplicate it anywhere else. You couldn't just come in on a Wednesday and put all this together and then take it down on a Monday. So we're very lucky in that regard. So a lot of it is the same every time, meaning we just plug the generators into the same place because we've laid all the cables out and powered it all up the same way every time. So we're definitely blessed in that regard. So we're not having a lot of different folks to work with, same owners and the same county. And so that stuff is, for us, it's been quite easy. I don't own the property itself. So, I'm definitely paying a top dollar in rent, to have this place where we've built all these things. And then the next step forward would be to, I've bought some land right next to this campground. And so there's the Field of Dreams. Field of Dreams. Got some plans. That's where we are now.
Well, Mikey, you win the award for having to move the most of. So let's hear about your situation.
Yeah, let's see. We're trying to think. We've had, I think, 6 or 7 different locations since we started in 2012, which is fucking crazy to say. Because every time that you start at a new location, you have to do so much work to scout out and build and kind of just come up with a game plan of how the layout's going to be. We're at year 2 now at our Flagstaff location. The difference that we have going from Lake Paris, which was, maximum red tape. And then now we're on private land. It's significant. We at Lake Paris, we had just the crazy booklet of every single kind of easy up had to be in there for the fire marshal to inspect. And that was totally new for us because at the Indian reservation, there was none of that. There was but now we're on private land. We're in Arizona. They're definitely more lax in Arizona than they are in California as far as regulations go. But then even still, there's challenges trying to navigate working with the property owner and what they have envisioned for their land and versus what you think is the best optimum way to do the layout for our festival for maximum vibe. So there's a lot of, give or take and trying to figure out the absolute best way to go about things. But private land is awesome so far.
So does it happen with every private land property owner? They are going to tell you the best place to put the stage and where to put the porta potties and all that? Okay. I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So we've been with Lake Paris State Park. I think I know the fire inspector that you're talking about from that year. We went through the ringer with one fire inspector. They rotated out, which is I don't know why they do that. It's not. I think it's the Cal Fire does it, but we have had a really good working relationship with them. I think in our first year we had trouble navigating probably a lot of those things of putting together, maps and things along those lines. Luckily, I Peter, my partner, and he came from producing events on Broadway Port Pavilion with the Coastal Commission, riding every single thing that they did. And I think he was kind of used to that. So he was able to set up a lot of, the maps and security and just kind of knew the drill from the start. So we were able to get, a lot of those things all put together. Would I love to own it? Yeah, but I mean, definitely can't afford Lake Paris State Park. That would be cool. And so I guess a fear is because we have gone through this where, a large, one of the, the big boys, well-funded festivals, come in and they have a lot of money and they kind of push you around, and we've had to move dates and adjust things, and radius clauses have pushed artists out, because of that. And I think that obviously when you don't have full control over your property, which I consider our property, it's really beautiful and it's almost one of the headliners of what our festival is. It definitely, means that you don't have full control over, necessarily your business, because I guess like any business, at some point the landlord can say, leases up, rents double, or, whatever.
Well, and do you think if same but different were to move properties, how connected is same but different to the venue versus is there, if we were to go out and buy a property, right? Is it, we have to have the right people that want to come, right? Or the right promoters, the right producers, the right community, the right culture, right? Because they're going to follow with kind of the unique experiences that we all build, right?
Yeah.
Is it transferable?
I think it's transferable. Because we've thrown other events. We throw micro events and we do a lot of concerts and things along those lines. The community ultimately, probably for all of us, is what makes the festival the festival. It's the people there, and probably not any single stage, not any single property, or fun thing that happens on there. So I think it definitely could move, and all the people coming there, people might take it. I would take a year off, for any festival as they move. It's kind of like, I'll let them get settled for a year, because it's rough to figure out that new. We never had to move properties, but we moved beaches within the park, and same difference. I mean, it's a completely different setup, whole different, everything. And we did that 4 times, each time just completely starting from scratch on where everything goes, how the gates are laid out, all that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, if there was that ideal property that we could all go to, would be the community, and we could kind of switch it up, and we could do that. But I think what makes all of our festivals so unique is the different locations, is the experience that we can do within those areas, right? In those festival grounds.
So we've talked about the big boys, right? The big festivals, Global Festival, if you will, just super festivals. How do you all feel about the increasing influence of major festival promoters, say like Live Nation, AEG? Are they making it harder or easier for independent festivals to survive? Go for it, Brad.
You're dealing with it.
No, I mean, we're like the mom and pop shop with Walmart in town. I think that there's a few things that help and a few things that hurt. I think that people are really becoming clued in to when they go to buy tickets, and there's fluctuating ticket prices, and there's just a monopoly. I don't think they necessarily know the extent to which, the venues are owned and the ticketing is owned, and the booking and the promoting and all of that is being done by one single company that also radiuses them out from playing any of their competitors' shows. And it's wild to navigate. It's a monopoly. I love capitalism, but it's what happens as you go to like the furthest extent, and you just have billions and billions and billions of dollars, and you can just roll over and swallow up anybody that is giving you challenges, or buy them out, destroy them. Yeah, I mean, a lot of those types of things happen. It is cutthroat. There's definitely challenges to navigate. They're navigatable though, and I think that in general, people are also becoming clued into that. I think people are kind of looking for outside experiences, I would hope, and trying to, if they can, vote with their dollars and go to things that they maybe believe in, support, independent things like us.
Yeah. For us, we're really kind of in a different world. We're not even really, our festival is small. It's family friendly. It's community centric. It's super organic. It's artist on the rise. So I'm not competing with artists that play at Coachella, artists that play at our festival play at Coachella a year or two later. So we don't have any head-to-head stuff. I mean, for me, it's actually, I spin it and think it's a positive thing, because it's just showing people that go to a few of those festivals. They're like, wow, that was pretty soulless. And I walked 3 miles from my parking spot I paid for to my camping spot I paid for, and then and watched on the Jumbotron. So I think that maybe, I hope that people are coming back more towards a thing where it's, one stage, one vibe, and a more human experience, a rehumanizing. If I want to go home on Monday, jazzed and pumped up from my experiences, I don't want to go home exhausted because I got beat up just trying to get to the darn stage and back, And yes, those big festivals can pay these amazing headliners. Well, maybe those folks should just go see that headliner when they're playing in the stadium or whatever, and go to that concert, So I'm trying to spin it in a positive way for us. We're just not really directly head to head with that kind of events.
And the way that we look at it too is that, you can kind of pick your own experience, right? And it's like, for us, it's like, at Northern Nights, you're going to come there. It's a small boutique, intimate festival, whatever you want to call it, right? But there's a community there. So you're going to lose your friends for 3 minutes, but then find your new best friends, right? Whereas you go to the major blow up festivals, you're gonna lose your friends and then be on your phone trying to be like, do I have Wi-Fi? Where are they gonna meet? Where are we gonna meet up? Whereas, the stories and the reason, when we leave Northern Nights or when our attendees leave Northern Nights on Monday, it's like, is your cup full? And we're trying to fill up our cups. And it's like, it's a safe space. It's a great community that you can come there with a group of friends. You can come there solo. You can come there as a volunteer, as a co-creator, as a producer, as an up and coming artist. And you can make your own, right? And you can build that confidence and you can be a part of the community that you can, whether it's a pendulum or whether, you're on a lineup with someone that's now playing these major festivals. This is where it happened, right? And you're always going to remember your first time of whether it's a camping fester and getting back there. And it's a I think with our festivals, sure, it's hard to get to, but once you're there, it's an easy experience. You're not going to go to these parking lots and then lose your friends and be like, oh, there's a blue porta potty. Oh, there's a blue, where are my friends? It's like, oh, I lost my friends at the bunker. They're over at the Madrone camp. Oh, hey, I lost my friends at the main stage. It's cool because I'm camping in the Redwood Grove, right? And it's this intimate community, and like our medical, our fire, our security, they're part of it, right? So when you ask them a question, they know where your camp is, right? And we have that community that drives it. And that's the only way that we're gonna be successful and continue to do what we do and keep our cups full.
Sometimes you just want a drink that's smooth, refreshing, and ready to go. No mixing, no hassle. And that's what Long Drink is all about. Originally created in Finland for the 1952 Olympics, it's a crisp, citrusy, sparkling cocktail made with premium liquor, kind of like a Fresco with a little something extra. You've got options too, traditional, zero sugar, and strong citrus. So whether you want something light or a stronger, an 8.5 ABV, you know about that. There's a Long Drink for you. It's best served ice cold straight from the can, but it's also great served over ice with a little fruit garnish. So next time you're out shopping, grab a pack of Long Drink and bring home Finland's best kept secret.
I think like one of the goals of having a mom and pop boutique festival, independent festival is like you want to provide a space where if someone came to the festival by themselves, they will just have the most amazing time ever because the community is so accepting. They're so welcoming of like sharing experience with another person, especially it's like you set up camp. Oftentimes your best friends are the ones that just end up camping around you. But to get back to your main question here, for us, like the house and techno industry, when we first started Desert Hearts was like really small, especially on the West Coast. It was like California was catching up to so many major cities. And so when we first started, like we didn't have very much competition at all. And now there's like a house and techno festival every other weekend in Southern California. Everyone is like trying to outbid each other for the artists that are the ticket sellers. And, we got caught up in trying to keep up with like the costs of like going up against the big giants, trying to like book that talent. And ultimately like that strategy did not work out for us. And so when we moved to Flagstaff, we're like, all right, we're going back to the basics. We're just going to book our homies and like artists that are down with Desert Hearts or like understand what the energy and the vibe is and really like down for the community, right? And it worked. Like cool. we went back to this model of like how we started it from the beginning, and now we're like, all right, sick. Like we're back in it. So yeah, you can't go up against the big dogs. Like it's really difficult.
No,
yeah,
because we're not. They're not even competition. Like it's a whole different experience.
Yeah,
right.
And people that are looking for what we do know it, and they're looking for what we do, and people that are looking for that, which is a whole nother really cool experience. Can do that. I feel like they're in competition with each other, and then we get like the outskirts of those like massive punches, or just like
collateral damage
in little ways. But it's you can navigate it. It's just it's pretty wild because you are kind of still biting for somebody that can do anything on that weekend, or there's only so much festival money that you have if you're going to go to festivals each year to spend, and you have a big choice. And so there's some lineups that are just maximum like huge, and there's 50,000 people, And there's also the choice of just sitting on the couch and, or staying at home or, whatever you're going to do on that weekend. And so there's you are still kind of, a little bit, bring it back to the coffee shop. It's like a Starbucks is open next to you. That's probably not the best, even if you have really good, a different experience.
So, Brad, I'm going to kick this one to you. So you've mentioned radius clauses a couple times. Can you first explain what a radius clause is to everyone so they understand? And then second, how have radius clauses impacted your booking strategy? And do you feel that it gives larger festivals an unfair advantage?
Honestly, it's probably something that everybody doesn't understand if you're just coming to a festival. But in the music industry, if an artist gets booked on a festival lineup, a radius clause is basically saying that they can't play within a certain radius around that festival. Call it 100, 200, 300 miles, sometimes bigger, sometimes multiple states within a certain amount of time. Sometimes that's 3 months, sometimes it's 6 months, sometimes it's a year, and a certain amount of time after the event as well. So when we get a list, because a lot of times attendees will be like, why didn't you book them? They're, I love this artist or, whatever. And even if they are the perfect artist and it's like, this is exactly what we want, this is who would be perfect on our stage. And then you go and talk to their agent, a radius clause would be put into effect if they are playing another festival within, let's say 6 months that's within 300 miles of you. And that would mean that you can't book them. So they're unbookable. They can't do it. So that's what it is.
And how do you feel that affects your booking?
Well, I mean, it means that you can't always get who might be good, like right. who you might want and who might be the perfect act. Just can't play because they might be radiused out. And I think when it comes to large festivals with big money and that type of thing, they put the radius clauses keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And yeah, sometimes it's they can't play because they're playing XYZ festival in February and we're in September and we're in a different state and it just can't happen, so you just can't, really get who you want.
Yeah, radius clause. I didn't learn about a radius clause until we started. Well, one of the reasons why we started Northern Nights is because booking shows in San Francisco, we didn't own any of the venues. And we were 300 miles out of the quote unquote radius clause of us to be able to book our friends that want to come to this show. And our friends might be like sleeping on our couch, hanging out with us at the park, doing a pop-up DJ set, but they're like, oh, this promoter's paying us more at this venue that they can sell the booze, that they can sell the merch, that they own the venue. That, like, cool, well, let's start a venue outside of that radius clause. And I think since the festival boom that you were talking about there, 2015 to 2019, right? Where it's just like they were going major. Coachella's now 2 weekends. I think Ultra tried to do back-to-back weekends. Is that the radius clauses have gotten stronger and stronger, where it's like, I haven't had an out-of-state radius yet for Northern Nights, but it's difficult, right? For us in the Bay Area, it's like, we have a good working relationship with the other independent promoters, and San Francisco, I think, still has a lot of the independent promoters that we don't get a lot of the national kind of radius clauses that we would get. But like now they're even trying to do like, oh, you can pay 10% of the booking fee to the promoter, to the radius clause to get out of it. And we're like, dude, are you serious? Like they're owning the space.
The politics are super interesting, right? Because when we used to work with a promoter in Phoenix area, and then when we decided that we're going to work with another promoter just for like a one-off party, our agent was screamed at on the phone, just like, you'll never work in this town ever again, which is fucking hilarious because now like the people that we worked with, the Walter Warehouse people, are now our partner on Desert Hearts. Like they're like the fucking sickest decision we ever made. But like sometimes we've been wanting to book an artist that's our friend that wants to play Desert Hearts, but like they are in another ecosystem with another promoter, and that promoter is offering them, and this is especially the leverage that like the big corporate promotion companies have, is that like they have all this upward mobility for that artist in that city, right, or multiple cities. So like they can be like, okay, you're not going to play for anyone else but us, and we'll make sure that you have like XYZ shows spread across all the Southwest. And it makes it really difficult. And then you finally, like, your friends are like, you can maybe like your friends are down, their agents are fucking not, like,
Right.
you know? And so it just, you know, it's really fucking hard. And I see both sides of it because I'm a DJ artist for a living. And like having to kind of navigate like the promoter versus the artist side of things where, you know, I will work with certain promoters and then like can't play with other people that are my friends. And it's just a difficult thing. And when you're a smaller mom and pop festival, you don't have the leverage that the other guys do.
We don't have the buying power, right?
Yeah,
we can't come
for
in
sure.
and like lock down a region or lock down an area and do all of that, right?
Yeah.
That's why like DJ side projects, right? Or unannounced or like, but is that going to sell the tickets? And that's the thing too. Like when we started Northern Nights, I was like, I wish we just said Northern Nights period, not Northern Nights Music Festival, because they kind of bucket music festivals into one category. So whether it's a corporate event or a college event or a festival, there's kind of these booking rates, right? For like top tier acts. And we're like, they can't sell that many tickets in the market. We're not gonna. That's overpriced, right? And like, hey, we've done our research. We know how many tickets they sell locally. Like, there's no way someone's gonna buy X amount of tickets in San Francisco. You're gonna charge Y, and then they're gonna come, you know, drive 3.5 hours up north. So I wish we could go back to just be like a gathering. You know what I mean? I guess going back to your question, like, if I was gonna start, like, what are some? If I were to restart, it'd be the Northern Nights gathering, right? And then we're at tier,
you know,
and we're like tier 3, 4, 5, right? We're not like this top tier market that they're like, oh, you're in the San Francisco Bay Area, you're in the radius of the San Francisco Bay Area, okay, then you should pay what these other events are paying.
For sure.
Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. What we're able to do as 4 independent music festivals coming together is offer something completely unique in our IndepenDANCE Music Festival Pass. That's a season pass to go to all 4 music festivals. That's Joshua Tree Music Festival, either the spring or the fall series, Desert Hearts Music Festival, Northern Nights Music Festival, and Same But Different Music Festival. For the price of $599, that's like the price of a GA pass to a lot of these major festivals. So I would jump on this super quick because we really have a truly limited quantity that we can only sell. So grab them before they sell out and get yourself locked in for an amazing festival season this year.
So we've talked about it a lot, right? I mean, the production costs are high, inflation's happening, there's a changing fan expectation overall, right? Do you all think that the current festival model is sustainable? And if not, or if so, how are you evolving? Let's start with Andrew.
Model is about collaboration, right? I mean, the model, I think for us to thrive, we have to adapt. There's got to be changes, right? One of the things that we've never, look at us sitting around this table, right?
Yeah.
5, 10, 15 years ago, they'd be like, why are you going to sit with Desert Hearts, right? I was like, no, dude, we want to book Mikey Lion, right? You know what I mean? I missed his set when you were there because I was still selling tickets because we were like technically sold out because everyone wanted to get in, but I was like still hustling the door because it's like, hey, we have 3 days to be able to generate that revenue for the event. And so I think, collectively, what is the model? The model changes, right? And it's about collaboration. It's about these conversations. It's about, hey, we found this really cool art installation. We found this really cool vendor. We found this really cool experience that they have a buzz. They have people following them. We found this cool new up and coming promotion crew, right? Everyone's like, oh, you're going to work with other promoters? I'm like, hell yeah, pick them up, right? We're all about that collaboration. So the model's got to be about collaborations because we don't know. We're not even getting into the rest of what's going on in the world, right? But from a festival standpoint, this is a beautiful thing. We're sitting down collectively, West Coast festivals. 10, 15 years ago, everybody think I was crazy for doing that, right? But it's like it's collaboration. It's authenticity. This works because it's the same community and you might share resources about, hey, I got a really cool VIP program. This worked for over here. We can sponsorship. There's different ways that we can share these resources. But when we started and the music industry, I don't know, maybe as a whole, I'm still navigating it, but it's kind of like, they don't want to share those resources, right? Where it's like, we want to sit down at the table and share that and see what works, what didn't, and learn from our mistakes.
I think for me, it's, I think bringing more transparency to people, I think again, what we're doing right now, but I think bringing like a lot more transparency to everything that a customer would interact with. would help them understand what's going on with the festival. And I think, honestly, if you go back to whenever it was 2012 with like Fyre Fest, I look at that as like the start of like headlines of like, it wasn't 2012. It was like 2016 or 17.
It was the first year we had a festival.
It was right. It was right before we said we're going to
they just dropped Fyre Festival 2.0.
I saw that.
What, $1 million ticket?
Yeah.
I don't get sorry.
I've got my tickets already.
And that's crazy.
That's your scene, dude.
How is that even possible?
He's back. I don't know.
He did his time.
Yeah.
He's not showing up.
Yeah, I want to be like we can help. Like I know how to throw this. Like it's hard, but you can throw it.
Someone who knows how to do it. Yeah,
seems like he's got buzz. But yeah, I think that just bringing transparency to the industry in general, everything from the start with ticket fees to what people, what we're doing as a company and why it matters what we're doing. From our sustainability efforts to, all the way to how we're booking artists and things like that. I think that's a big piece of the industry that needs to change. And it's kind of been like behind a curtain for a while.
And I don't know if we want to talk about this or not, but I feel like after Fyre Festival, that was the first time that agents wanted a deposit before the lineup was announced. Before Fyre Fest, we had a working relationship with those agents. They knew that we were going to produce the show because it was us, right? And it was our business, and we were going to show up, right? Fyre Festival happened, and then all of a sudden now you got to pay 50% before the announcement, right? And then there's been other events that continue to cancel, and that's been a struggle, right? Because it's like, hey, it's really hard to say, hey, we need our community to show up, but they don't know who's going to be there, and figuring out how to navigate. And then there's the tiered models, and we've tried so many different things. And I really liked what you guys did last year, saying, hey, this is the amount of tickets we have. This is what we're going to sell. And you can base your budgets on that. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to the last minute, right? On what works and what doesn't. And I did like when we first, it took a while to build the relationships with the agents from a deposit standpoint, that we could announce the lineup because they trusted that we were going to be around. So we didn't have to put that money up beforehand, and we can continue to kind of sell tickets and see where it lands.
Just to add to what you said, Andrew, is the collaboration aspect is probably a key to moving forward, and there might be certain sponsors that really want to be involved with real independent community events, not a large corporate event where they're not even going to be seen for all the other banners of XYZ corporations. So there could be sponsors that want to be a part of all four of these events or more, or there might be a whole year-round marketing campaign that we could do that's really just promoting the idea of like, independent stuff is way cooler, folks. So yeah, just to expand on what you said, I think that's really key, and just sharing resources,
I loved what you guys did last year, kind of taking in the Lucidity Festival people and the Desert Days people. Like that was really a super genius move as far as collaboration goes. For us, same thing, collaboration. We have a partner on Desert Hearts Festival now with the Walter crew, and they have multiple venues in Phoenix. So now we actually do have some kind of leverage as far as like bringing in new artists and stuff. Like we have something to go to bat with. So yeah, collaboration for sure.
Dope.
It's definitely the way to do it now.
Let's do a pre-party.
Figure it out.
When you think about Southern California, what comes to mind? Beaches, music, and great drinks. That's exactly what SoCal Vibes Co. is all about. Since 2014, they've been crafting small batch ciders, meads, and beers right here in LA, bringing that laid-back, beachy vibe to everything that they do. Their Carson location is a chill hangout with 40 rotating taps, live music, and game nights. And now their new tap room in Venice puts them right in the heart of one of SoCal's most iconic neighborhoods. Plus, they're giving back. 1% of sales go to the Surfrider Foundation to protect our oceans, waves, and beaches. So whether you're looking for a go-to spot for a night out or a perfect drink to enjoy at home, SoCal Vibes Co. has got you covered. And as a Different Paths listener, you can enjoy 15% off your first order at SoCalVibesCo.com. Just use Different Paths 15 at checkout.
So let's kind of push it back to the community a little bit here. So like, what can we expect, or what can we ask of our community's partners and artists to keep us thriving? Like, what's something we could directly ask for?
Buy ticket sales earlier.
Yeah. Why?
Yeah.
Explain it in detail so it's like very understandable.
So that all the festival promoters don't have a fucking stress meltdown and like, cause like it builds up so much stress. Throwing festivals right now is like the most stressful fucking job ever. And like that stress is something that's there for like 6 months out of the year. But if everyone just bought their tickets earlier, like, and then we knew that we are going to have a successful event up front, we're like,
Yeah, it's all about the flow, the cash flow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh, especially since COVID. And I get it. Just like Brad was saying earlier, it's like, yeah, I'm 99% sure I'm going to same, but I'm not 100% sure. So I will buy my ticket on Thursday at the top dollar. But if you knew I was coming in April, that would have sure made planning easier. And, a lot of your expenses, deposits to artists, pre-production, that would help and we have messaged our, built-in audience, our people that come all the time, our core audience. We've been trying to message and just say, hey, it makes a huge difference,
If it's selling really well earlier, does it help the experience for the festival goer?
Yeah, definitely, because the planning will be smoother and better and might add more things. And so, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we're not in it to like, Uncle Scrooge, Donald Scrooge, like it's like the goal. No, it's as if we have more. I mean, the first thing that if we don't have enough ticket sales, the first thing that's going to be cut is the arts, is the burlesque, is the performers, is kind of the ancillary kind of experience that you're going to see and that you're going to love. And so, again, we're not in this to get rich. We're about the community, the vibe, the experience that we can continue to thrive and grow with. And so, unfortunately, can't cut the porta potties, can't cut the medical. We would never do that, right? But it's like, the experience does. Like, if we know that this is going to be a sellout event, then we can come up with the coolest, crazy ideas, whether it's a slack line across the river or your boats to the island. There's so many things that again, that we have our margins over here. But if we know that this is already sold out, it would be bigger and better than we could ever do.
Coming out of 2021, straight out of COVID. And so the limits that we were put on by the state was 4,000 people could come. And so we came out of the gate with our line. We built something around 4,000 people. I mean, sure, smaller than that, knowing that was the top that we could hit. And I think it was like a week and a half later, it sold out. And so at that point, it was like, great, we have all the ticket sales that we need. We have we're good here. And then, for example, our Coconut Club, which is our stage that's on the beach, it was a small little, it was a tent and speakers and a table at that time. And we were like, let's go big with this. We have extra. And so the budget on that raised up, I think by $50,000 more, and had LED screens and the whole thing. I was just bumping music out, which, I mean, for us is good. It spins into people being that experience was killer. And now the Coconut Club has become a whole big thing. But for the people that came, I mean, it allowed us to, you can't make that ramp up. I can't make a ramp up decision like that 5 days out. I can't be all right, bring that stage. Actually, Tuesday sales were good. So that needs to happen early. And if that happens early, we can plan early and upgrade the experience.
I think that's one thing people don't understand. I think people don't see that investing earlier in a music festival ticket for an independent festival allows the organizers to know they're going to be there and to plan ahead and put in the ancillary things like you're saying, like the extra art, the extra activations, the extra everything that you need beyond just the infrastructure. The infrastructure will be there regardless. We're all established festivals. We know what's going on. But that extra early ticket allows us to plan ahead and allows us to look forward to having more, bigger, better, and just an overall better experience. Is there anything you guys can think of that if you had, and it's a little bit just off the top of my head, but if you had a sold out early festival, right, which tickets go on sale, sold out, what would you do or what would you add to your festivals knowing that you had the money to do it?
Pool of gold coins. For us, I can tell you flat out because we'd go way bigger on the island. We have an island to explain it. Yeah, we set up a dock on one side, a dock on the other. We started this last year. It went really, really well. It was really fun. And we run boats and we ferry people out to this island. When you land on the island, there's a beach. We have a stage out on the beach, and then you can walk. There's like a path that goes around it and then goes up to the top of a mountain that's there. Would probably just like I'd go crazy on that island. It's just such an adventure.
I love the experiential art installations that come with like staff of actors that just like transport you into a different world. That kind of stuff is priceless, and it's so amazing for the vibe to like, okay, people are done dancing for a little while. They're like, all right, let's go on an adventure. Let's go fucking get into the festival and see what it has to offer. And those are the things that, like you said, they get cut first because they can be expensive. But when they are done right, they will just like completely transfer you into a new world. It's so sick.
Yeah, the radical theater aspect of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd probably have a spread across the board, just a bunch of improvements. Yeah, people would actually get paid what they're worth.
That's true. Yeah,
that would be one of them.
Yeah.
You won't necessarily see that. Maybe you'll see the whole crew with a bigger smile on their face. I don't know.
That's real.
Yeah.
Along that line, so if you don't sell tickets early, like what are some of the toughest trade-offs you've had to make? Like having to make those cuts, has there been moments where you had to sacrifice aspects of your original vision to keep the festival running because that's just what had to happen?
The biggest sacrifice, talk to my wife, 100%. We're, from the producer standpoint, we haven't had to make those major cuts, right? But it's always been super stressful every single year down to the final. And we always have like, okay, we're 3 months out. Hey, what's working? What's not, right? And like, hey, what can we plan for? We have X amount of tickets. Every single year, the ticket trends kind of differ, right? And so we always try to keep our tickets between 250 max at the door, 375, 400 for a 3-day camping and music festival that includes camping, right? That you can come there, so you can roll up, and we do have payment plans. And so, biggest things from the experience is never going to be cut. It's more just about, I think, like you said, there is the people, right, and our team and our staff. And it's like if there's any extra funds, it's going to our team that's putting on the show.
Yeah.
Probably similar to what Barnett said about what he would improve. Like it's probably across the board that we've done, where I'm just like, if we need to shave 15%, it's from everything. It's little pieces, and the stage is going to get a haircut. The sound, it's just kind of just got to do what you got to do to make it fit and work.
That's real. Stages get cut, huh?
Yeah, it's a big one.
Owners get cut first.
Yeah.
My sanity.
So what's one thing that you would like your communities, or our community, I should say, to truly understand about what it takes to put on a festival or an event like ours?
I think that everything's always changing, right? God forbid it starts raining at your festival. Shit's gonna get fucked up. It is. It's like there's no way around it. Your parking lot might disappear. I would just hope that people would just roll with the punches a little more. Know that the intention is always there. Even when festivals are blowing it and there's like horrible press with them, I'm always kind of like siding with the festival promoters. I'm like, God, dude, if only they knew what was happening. Like, and there's just like that kind of problem from like just a rain pour could like decimate the logistics for your festival. It can change everything. And so, yeah, I would just hope that festival goers would just give a little more leniency to the promoters, knowing that things are really, really hard to
I've said this to you before, but I love that you jump on like Instagram or whatever network and you're like the first in the comments. Everybody chill out.
Yeah.
Like they're doing the best they can.
I always back them.
Yeah, it's just it's us. It's like it's us four. Like it's just people like us that are trying to make this happen and absolutely doing best that we can to put on a really cool experience for you guys.
And I think, participate too, right? Get involved, right? We have applications that come out super early. And if you're super creative or if you're not even creative at all and you just want to be involved, I think one of, the ways that I've learned the festival, quote unquote, business side of it was volunteering, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'd volunteer as a security guard, right? I'd volunteer as a stage manager. And then I was at High Sierra when Lumineers was there. I had no idea what Lumineers was, but it was so cool that High Sierra played the Lumineers played multiple sets, right?
Right.
And these are experiences that you get only at festivals, that if the producers, if the curators are all coming together and the artists like the show, right? And the artists appreciate the input and the effort that everybody's doing from the top down or from the bottom up, right? And, that's really what it's about.
Yeah. And I think it's definitely, it's on us to communicate this to our community and to our core audience, but that would be one thing is definitely get involved. Yes, the ticket price costs a bunch of money. I couldn't afford one. So get involved and you're going to have your mind blown. You're going to have to be way more involved and way more, your interactions are going to be on a much higher level and you're going to go home with way tighter friendships just by getting involved. And it can be on a creative level too. It doesn't have to be, you can work the green team. It can be anything, but getting involved is one thing. And then also, like what Brad said before, nobody's going to come to your festival because they saw a killer video on the gram. They're only going to come because their best friend said, look, man, trust me. So, we need to reach out to our community and really incentivize them to, I know you've told your neighbor 25 times, you got to come to Joshua Treet, but I need you to open their laptop, get their credit card out for them. Tell them, look, you're camping with us. Trust me, you will love me even more if you do this. So, we really got to lean on them for the hard sell. And I've got friends that, that come all the time in the email and they're like, how can we help? So really I feel like it is, the onus is on us to really give them an easy way to do that and make it easier for them to do that. That's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think I told you guys before, I like to attend festivals. I love to throw them. I think it's very fun to be behind it all and see how it is. So it's always, I think when people volunteer, they don't know what they're getting themselves into, but I think it's something that they walk away and they're like, most of the time, don't get me wrong. There's a couple jobs that you're like, ugh, that one's tough, but you walk away and you're like, wow, that was so fun. So it's a very good message.
Let me ask a question to the group. What's been your favorite moment or the greatest memory or what do you love most about owning a festival?
I thought you kind of read my mind because we were kind of on one of the coolest experience was after the second or third year of Northern Nights. It was Tuesday after the event and the green team was still there. Right. And I heard this sound system going. And I was like, what's going on here? It's Tuesday.
The best party of the weekend.
Yeah. And the green team was out there so energized, so excited. Their cup was so full. They had a sound system out there and they were sorting the trash. And we all got in there and we all did it as one community, one festival, one love on what it was. And that was some of the coolest parts about it is just rolling around to festivals and seeing or hearing the stories of, hey, I went to Humboldt State. Hey, I got married at your event. Hey, I figured out who I was at your event, right? And I think with Northern Nights, it's about the community. The favorite part for me too is just come up there, dude, I know the owner of Northern Nights, and everybody's the owner of Northern Nights. It's a whole vibe, and that's what it takes. And we're gonna be there. We're gonna show up. You have to want to do this, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like you said too. I love going. I can't go to festivals anymore. My wife is like, dude, you're really going to the festival and seeing how that generator is set up or the light towers over there, or you have, and she's like, you're no fun to go to events anymore. But now we produce them.
Yeah, I love a lot, so much about it. But one of the things I really love, I'm a music junkie, always have been, always been collecting albums since I was 10 years old and made 400 mixtapes and another 120 mixed CDs and playlists and just love it. And I've always been into turning people on to my new favorite song or my new favorite artist or what have you. So I definitely do get off on being in the audience and somebody comes on stage and just watching people's minds get blown. They're like, what is actually happening right now. Like, you're getting your mind blown by some artist, that you never fucking heard of. And so I do get a thrill out of that.
I think my favorite thing is the impact on the culture. I love the ability to just like, our ethos and message is to spread as much love and positive energy as possible. And I love giving that to people, and I love making them feel love. I love, one time I was at Lightning in a Bottle, and this woman came up to me. She was pregnant, and she was like, "Hey, let me see your hand." And she puts my hand on her belly, and she's like, "This baby was conceived at Desert Hearts." And I was like, "Oh my God." Like, and the amount of times that I've heard someone say that Desert Hearts changed their life it's insane. And that every time someone says something like that to me, it just absolutely makes everything worth it. I've heard that so many times, but I never heard this, like Desert Hearts creating life. I'm like, that's amazing. But yeah, I love in my own way making the world a better place when the world needs love more than anything right now. And it needs community. And we're so lucky that we have these communities. Like, I always talk about sports in this way because, like, there's so many people that, like, they're the biggest sports fans ever. They identify with their team. I'll always defend sports because it's community on a much grander scale. But, like, also those people a lot of times definitely did not find this, like, small niche, super influential community that is bettering their life to, like, the infinity degree, So yeah, I'm in it for the culture.
Yeah, I love that. The amount of people I've talked to that are couples that met their business partners that met and like started. I just heard about, it's 3 different businesses that all started next to each other in LA and Hollywood that they all met at same, and now they're doing these wellness things. And I'm just like, it's reach beyond any of us know, that, and that's really cool. I just love like getting to spend time with the team and when you're there and it's day 3, or even like day 10 and you're, cleaning up and, you haven't slept and it's just, everything's just goofy and you're trying to like clean up tents, or I think about you, trying to we had to like break down this easy up off at a security point and it was like slightly broken and you were trying to smash it and the poles were just hitting you. And I think we have a video actually.
Yeah, you took a video of it and then posted it and said, "This is how we take apart the festival." I was folding up, like it wouldn't go in anymore, and I was just like, I was so tired.
Like
the best marketing is when you like don't give a fuck. You stopped caring and you're just like, check this shit out.
We had a day we just rolled around and we're cleaning together. We've been friends since like college, and then I think we drove that day and we were like, we got to feed all the volunteers we forgot about. We were like, oh my God, this is like our 2nd year, and we were like, we forgot food, and we were like, let's get McDonald's breakfast wraps. And we showed up and we're like, here you go. And we're like, oh, that sucks.
People actually turned it down. They were like, no, we're cool. And we're like, really? Like, you haven't eaten all day? And they're like, no. Like,
yeah,
we don't
California.
want those.
Yeah. It was just just one of those, it's funny days and good times.
Is there any other stories that you guys can think of that like was almost a make or break moment for the festival and then you pulled it off in the end?
I don't remember if I told this story last time I was here, but at our like 3rd Desert Hearts ever, we had to basically change venue with like a week's time because we went to go meet with the police of Los Coyotes, and the guy was like, "It's actually my birthday this weekend, and if we do this festival this weekend, we're going to make sure you guys get rated." And we're like, okay. So we like went back to a venue that we had done before, had no permits for it. This is, it was still around like 1,500 people at that time. So definitely we're supposed to have permits. And then, we got a document this big the day before the festival from the local PD and just all the things that we're in breach of. And we just had to like lawyer up because we just had too much momentum at that point. That was like, okay, we can't just cancel the festival.
Oh my gosh.
And so we found this like really like sketchy loophole that basically said that like, okay, you're allowed to have 250 people on a property with amplified sound and 500 on no amplified sound. And there was 3 properties on the area, the ranch we were on. And so we're up there at like, as soon as the music came on, there was 10 police SUVs that came and a helicopter coming to like raid us. And we're just up there with this like really lax document that was like all the reasons that they can't shut us down. And the cops just showed up like, fuck. And we're like, holy shit, like it's on, you know? So that was like,
That's a moment.
that was definitely, the sketchiest moment that we've ever had in Desert Hearts. We're on the mic like, everyone get in your fucking tents now. We're like, we need to make it look like no one's here. It was insane. Yeah.
Legend.
We're running a loose shit back then. That was 2014.
Damn,
so.
good job, bro. I mean, I would have done that too. Yeah, get in the tent.
When COVID hit, I quit my job in February 2020.
Oh.
And I was like, now's the time to full in on this event. Like, this is it.
What?
Yeah.
Amazing timing.
Yeah. And then it was like the whole world shut down a month later. And I was like, oh, whoa, this is such a bad idea for so many reasons.
There's never going to be a festival ever again in the history of mankind.
I think like as humans, we struggle to see like when you're in winter and it's really cold, it's like hard to even imagine that like weather gets hot again. Like when we were in COVID, it's just like, I don't even think we're ever going to like meet again face to face. Like what we did was memories and years ago. And it just seems so far off and so hard to accomplish. And that was tough to even think about.
I feel like each time a festival actually happens, it's a miracle.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that could go wrong all at the same time. And somehow they don't. Maybe a few do, but hopefully not too many. So I think everybody's like, oh man, how do you do it? It must be getting easier every time. I'm like, no, it's still a freaking miracle each time when you consider all the... Look at the crew. I mean, come on. It's amazing.
Don't you love that moment of a festival where it's like you've done all the planning. It's like Friday at 8 p.m. and you're kind of just like, all right, you're on your own. Like, the vibe of the festival is going to take on like its own life and it's just going to morph into something that you're hoping that you've planned everything for. And then it just kind of does its thing.
This is the first year that I structured, we got it to the point where at 7 p.m. every night I was able to turn off my comms, check out and enjoy. And we have a cool festival.
Congratulations.
It was fun. It's just fun to enjoy and be able to see and all that. And then enjoy it a little too much. And then you wake up at 6 a.m. right into the deliveries.
Yeah.
All that fun stuff.
As someone who works at Same, it was exciting to see you get a full 12 hours of sleep now instead of the previous 10 that you were getting prior. So it's good that we've been able to increase your sleep by that much. So
I just put Tim on.
Cumulative?
Tim was just on double shift.
Yeah.
That's how I did it.
Yeah.
I think one of my most favorite memories of the festival, I think there's always one moment, like you said, the 8 o'clock, like you're on your own.
Yeah.
Like for me, there's a point where it's usually like all of us together. And was it a couple years ago that like you, me, and Pete were standing there and Big Gigantic's lasers hit and like went up and you saw everybody there and the crowd lit up. And I just like, that was the moment that made the festival all worth it for that weekend. What do you guys all feel like makes it worth it for you to keep going with this relatively tough industry, right?
So my wow moment usually comes Sunday night when it's all said and done, and we've had the crew come out at the end of the final set of Sunday night. But then for me, it's the experience. But that one artist that you found that they're playing, whether they're on the river, the main stage, or whatever it is, that you can actually let loose, or me personally let loose on. When you're like, wow, this and the whole, you look around and the whole crowd is loving it as much as you are. But I'm usually the dude where it's like, so Elderbrook a couple years ago, found him at South by Southwest, followed him around for like 3 days and was like, this is the coolest thing ever. Coca-Cola, COVID hit. Then we finally got him to Northern Nights, and it was like, that set was just like, boom.
Yeah.
Right. It was like, it was there. Everybody was there. And it's about the music, right? And it's about in seeing kind of the progression of people that have come up through the festival and through the experience and through their music and seen it as well.
Yeah, I'm definitely jazzed when, leading up to the festival, it's just, you're just jamming so hard and going so hard that it's easy to lose track of why you're doing it until on Wednesday when the early arrival people start showing up, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, whoa, how come Brad's here? Oh yeah, shit, Brad's coming. Oh, and Andrew's here and his wife's here. All of a sudden, a flood of people that you love, your favorite people on the planet, are all showing up, and it's amazing. It's moving for sure. You're like, oh yeah, that's why we do it, because we're gonna have a freaking blast.
I love the very end of the festival, like that moment when, so we've always, when we end at noon on Monday, the Monday crew that's there are a lot of the staff. It's kind of like they're all off the clock for the most part, and they're like getting to kind of reap the benefit of that last celebration of what we did, what we accomplished. We always have all of our staff on stage with us. And like that final set that we play, we always close it out with Desert Heart's crew, all the founders playing back to back for the last few hours of the festival. And it's like the most magical moment of the whole festival. And everybody's crying. We're like up there blubbering out speeches, like trying to like explain how moved we are. That's for sure the best moment. And yeah, if you guys, one thing I saw at Base Coast, they're another independent festival in Canada.
Yeah.
Unbelievable festival, by the way. On Saturday night, they bring all of their staff, like all the directors, all their staff. They bring them onto stage, on the main stage, and like have a big, just like vibe down with their people. And it was such a cool thing to see. I'm like, the thing that people don't understand is that all these independent festivals are these really tight-knit families and really tight-knit communities. And when a festival goes under and they don't make it anymore, that's like the end of their community. And so the more that we can support the independent ones that are putting all of their heart and soul into the festival, that's where the real connection, that's where the real difference is made in the world, I think. So yeah.
Yeah, we did like an uncoordinated mini version of that last year. Finally, I was like, we got to hone this in and do it better.
Yeah.
We late night on Sunday night, a lot of our staff, like me, my partner Pete, we met each other playing in bands and touring together. And then so since we were just all musicians, it's just a lot of musicians. So we just have it's called the Same Family Jam. And so it's on the main stage, or one of our two main stages. Late night, we all just get to jam.
Safe.
And that's always like one of those moments that it's like we're all just kind of looking. It's like we made it through it, and that's always a really cool experience.
So, I mean, we've talked about a lot of things right now, and I think before we wrap it up, is there anything else that you think would be beneficial to tell our communities about independent festivals, just so they understand us more?
We're just in it to support the culture, and we're doing it with everything that we have. Most independent festivals do not come from deep pockets, and a lot of us kind of got into it not knowing what we're doing, and then all of a sudden we're throwing a big music festival and kind of flying by the seat of our pants. But we're now responsible for curating the vibe and experiences for so many people out there. And I just think that our intention's always pure. I think none of us are in it to get rich. We know that that's not the case of what this business is. But I think that with collaboration and with supporting one another, we can really make a difference in this world. And I think it's really important. I'm really happy to be here right now. I think it's amazing. Thanks for getting us together.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's all, the community is what it's all about. And the community continuing to support and just keep being a part of it is what keeps these going. And there's three paths forward for any event and festival and community. And one is that like it cancels and goes away. And we've seen that with like a lot of them lately. The other is that it keeps going, the community supports, and it just goes on forever. And like our goal, and I think a lot of your guys' goals, is like not to grow super huge, like to stay small and like continue keeping a really, really cool vibe. And the third is like you get like bought by another, like one of the bigger ones, and like just trust me, for the fans out there, like you guys don't want that for the festival. If you love what we're doing, you probably won't like what it becomes.
Yeah, and I agree with all of that. And I think now is our coming into 2025. There's so much unknown. Is how do we all come together? How do we, put it out there too and say, hey, work for one festival, go to another festival. Let's figure out how that collaboration goes. And I feel like now is an opportunity after this conversation is maybe there's a central table that we can say, hey, we have this core staff, but then we also have this new up and coming kind of volunteers or interns or what have you. And how do we kind of utilize those relationships? I mean, with Northern Nights, like we all work remotely because no one can kind of work full time on this project. But collectively, if we have 3, 4, 5 events, right, and we can kind of navigate those spaces like we used to do, I would say we're open to dialogue. We're open to those conversations. Let's figure out what that right platform is. I mean, back in the day, whether it was Lucidity or Symbiosis, there was more workshops. There was more conversation. There was like, we still have, at Northern Nights, we definitely have a big wellness program, and wellness is kind of blown up as it is, but let's get back to the roots. Let's get back to, the aura of kind of where we all started from. And I love how we have, NorCal, SoCal, Central, Arizona, but it's like, it's a collaborative effort, right? Let's open up those dialogues and figure out how we all kind of continue to keep the dream alive.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, I think this has been very insightful, and I'm excited to see what comes from this group. I mean, I think I would argue this is probably one of the first times we've had this type of collaboration to sit down, and I think this is the first of many conversations between this group. So thanks for coming. Thanks to the template in OB where we're filming this. So thank you. And we look forward to seeing you guys out there at the festival.
Thanks, Tim.
Great.
Thanks,
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Cut.
Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. What we're able to do as 4 independent music festivals coming together is offer something completely unique in our IndepenDANCE Music Festival Pass. That's a season pass to go to all 4 music festivals. That's Joshua Tree Music Festival, either the spring or the fall series, Desert Hearts Music Festival, Northern Nights Music Festival, and Same But Different Music Festival. For the price of $599, that's like the price of a GA pass to a lot of these major festivals. So I would jump on this super quick because we really have a truly limited quantity that we can only sell. So grab them before they sell out and get yourself locked in for an amazing festival season this year.